Hey there, science fans! Bill Nye here, and today we're diving into the world of circles. Circles are everywhere, from the sun in the sky to the wheels on your bicycle. We see them in nature, in our homes, and even in our food. But have you ever thought about how circles relate to each other? Get ready to explore the fascinating world of the relative position of two circles. We're going to learn about how circles can touch, overlap, or stay completely separate. It's like a game of circle relationships. To understand these relationships, we need to know two important things about each circle: its center and its radius. The center is the middle point of the circle, like the bullseye on a target. The radius is the distance from the center to the edge of the circle, like the spokes on a wheel. Every circle has a center and a radius, and these two things help us understand how circles are positioned relative to each other. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of circle relationships? Let's go! Circles, just like friends, sometimes like to touch. When two circles touch each other at just one point, we call this touching externally. Imagine two friends holding hands. That's how these circles are connected. Now, remember those centers and radii we talked about? They play a big role in determining if circles touch externally. If the distance between the centers of the two circles is exactly equal to the sum of their radii, then the circles touch externally. It's like measuring the length of their outstretched arms. If the distance matches, they can reach each other. Think of two coins of the same size lying flat on a table and just touching. That's an example of circles touching externally. We see this circle relationship in everyday objects, and now you know the secret behind their perfect touch. Sometimes circles prefer to keep their distance, just like some friends. When two circles are not touching at all, we say they are lying outside each other. It's like having two separate bubbles that never meet. How can we tell if circles are lying outside each other? Again, it's all about the distance between their centers and their radii. If the distance between the centers of the two circles is greater than the sum of their radii, then the circles are lying outside each other. It's like measuring the distance between two houses. If it's greater than the combined length of two jump ropes, they are too far apart to touch. Think of two separate pizzas on a table. They are not touching, right? That's an example of circles lying outside each other. Understanding this relationship helps us see how circles can exist independently without any overlap. Circles can be cozy too. Sometimes one circle fits perfectly inside another circle, just like those fun nesting dolls. We call this one circle inside another. It's like having a smaller circle taking shelter within a larger circle. To determine if one circle is inside another, we again look at the distance between their centers and their radii. If the distance between the centers of the two circles is less than the difference between the larger circle's radius and the smaller circle's radius, then the smaller circle is inside the larger circle. It's like comparing the size of a cookie cutter and a cookie. If the cookie cutter is smaller, it can fit inside the cookie. Think of a donut. The outer edge is one circle, and the hole in the middle is another circle inside it. This circle relationship is all about containment and how one circle can exist entirely within another. Section 5. When circles cross paths, intersecting fun. Circles can be quite adventurous. Sometimes two circles cross paths and overlap, creating a shared space. We call this intersecting at 2 points. It's like two friends bumping into each other and having a quick chat. To figure out if circles are intersecting, we again rely on the distance between their centers and their radii. If the distance between the centers of the two circles is greater than the difference between their radii but smaller than the sum of their radii, then the circles intersect. It's like finding the perfect spot for two overlapping rugs, not too far apart, not too close together, but just right. Imagine drawing two overlapping circles on a piece of paper. The area where they overlap is the intersection. This circle relationship shows how circles can share a common space and create interesting shapes. Section 6. Measuring the distance. How far apart are our circles? We've talked a lot about the distance between the centers of two circles, but how do we actually measure it? Well, it's like measuring the distance between two objects using a ruler. Imagine each circle's center as a dot on a piece of paper. We can use a ruler to measure the straight line distance between those two dots. That distance, combined with the radii of the circles, helps us determine the relative position of the circles. It's like playing a game of connect the dots. The distance between the dots reveals the relationship between the circles. Remember, the distance between the centers is a key piece of information in understanding how circles relate to each other. It's like having a secret code that unlocks the mysteries of circle relationships. Section 7. Real-world circles. Spotting the relationships. Now that we know the different ways circles can be positioned, let's look for these relationships in the real world. Circles are everywhere, and once you start noticing their relative positions, you'll see them in a whole new light. Think about the Olympic rings. They are a perfect example of intersecting circles. The rings overlap, symbolizing the unity and interconnectedness of the participating countries. Or consider a Venn diagram, which uses overlapping circles to show the relationships between different sets of information. Circles are powerful tools for visualizing and understanding the world around us. From the wheels of a car to the gears in a machine, circles are constantly interacting and working together. By understanding their relative positions, we can better appreciate the design and functionality of everyday objects. Section 8. Keep exploring circles. The adventure continues. Congratulations, circle explorers. You've learned about the different ways circles can be positioned relative to each other. You can now identify circles that touch externally, lie outside each other, have one inside the other, or intersect at 2 points. You've also learned how to measure the distance between the centers of circles and use that information to determine their relationship. But the adventure doesn't stop there. Keep exploring the world of circles and see what other fascinating relationships you can discover. Circles are full of surprises, and with your newfound knowledge, you're ready to unlock their secrets. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep the spirit of scientific discovery alive. And remember, science rules.